welcome to the call, everyone, and thank you so much for signing up. What we're doing here today is we're going to be focusing on Men's Health Week. It's observed yearly in the run up to Father's Day. So this year it starts today, and the theme this year is to encourage men to share their stories. This year, Men's Health Forum have taken the lead from King's Charles, and after King's Charles shared that he had a problem with an enlarged prostate, um, Men's Health thought we'll go down that route of sort of getting men to talk more. And as you know, as part of one of our things at Able To, we do the confident conversations. We get people talking and starting to sort of normalize the talking of about conditions. And of course, Stephen, you do the tackling taboos, and Michael, you do a whole host of things. I was watching your video this morning. So actually, Michael, I'd like to bring you in first of all. So I know you've been involved with conversations around men's health before. What have like the sort of themes been, and why has it been important for you to start talking around men's health?
Thank you. When we created our People Networks in Openreach, I was part of the Gender Equality Network, and whilst there's lots of female orientated genders, one of the biggest areas of inequality has been poor male mental and physical health. So it was kind of the gap for me, I guess, as to what to get stuck into from the off. And I think the main thing was to actively try and reduce stigma at talking about health, particularly mental health. So it kind of commenced on just kind of creating some more content, hopefully just something that's conversational, and just start making it normal to talk about. We did sort of start in physical health elements. So we talked about various cancers, and there's a range of men's health bite-size that I've done, and they've been really helpful to me to understand better. I think people who've watched them have found them beneficial as well. So I think it's just kind of just trying to normalize chats that men have more frequently. And I think it's great to see that there are other things that have evolved in the space of the last 2 years in Openreach. So we've got Man Club and various kind of initiatives and things that are cropping up that just get more people talking. And we want to talk about mental health a lot more, because it's probably the area that we're still suppressing and don't feel as comfortable in saying, I need help in that particular area. Touched on a lot of themes. Physical stuff is, numerous interviews with people with cancers, and very helpful. Senior managers putting themselves out there with, photographs of their testicles that have been kind of scanned, and and the rigmarole of going through some of the treatments. But I think they are lived experiences. And the more we get insights and the more curious we are about what health, good and bad, looks like, then we're better prepared for what follows.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. And then, like, to signpost your video that you posted on the Able To forum today, what would you say, like, some of the things that you spoke about are like, the figures of 1 in 5, 2 in 5. Do you mind elaborating on that a little bit? And then we'll kind of let people watch those, because they're very bite-sized. They're 6 minutes long. So whenever you get a chance, guys, over a cup of coffee, do watch Michael's videos. But yeah, I'll let you elaborate a little bit, Michael.
Yeah. So I actually did a little slot as part of a International Men's Day event, and we had a couple of breakout rooms, and I just produced some content on Know Your Numbers. And Know Your Numbers is stuff that's been available through Men's Health Forum things for a while. And what I just wanted to lay out over the course of each day is just a short video to kind of recap, and the kind of stuff that started with was a little bit about life expectancy, the difference between men and women, and one of the kind of key concerns would be that 1 in 5 men don't make it to the age of 65. So you can spend all of your, effort working and churning away, waiting for that opportunity to kind of kick back and relax, and you don't survive beyond retirement age. And so number of factors in there, but touch on that. I did kick off today with a talk about waist size. Men waist sizes needing to be 37 inches or less. The risk of heart disease and diabetes is much greater if you've got waist sizes beyond that. And And then, in tomorrow, I'm going to touch on exercise and diet. The day after that, I'm going to be covering alcohol, smoking, and the bit on smoking, I think that I did find really interesting was how beneficial it is almost with immediate effect from stopping smoking. So I'm going to kind of call out some of the key benefits you'll see as a smoker who stops smoking over the course of a week, a month, a year, and beyond, about how pronounced the benefit can be of stopping smoking. So hopefully that'll be interesting. Cover a little bit about blood pressure, and that you should be on, in the range of 120 systolic blood pressure over 80 diastolic pressure. So if you don't know what blood pressure are, it's the force on your arteries when your heart pumps, basically. The number on top is the one as it pumps, and then when it relaxes is the number below. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I think a lot of people aren't aware of what the blood pressure is, and some people can kind of be living with high blood pressure, not know, and they're quite severe complications if you have a prolonged spell with high blood pressure. So a little bit of awareness on that. And then Thursday, I'm going to touch on loneliness and the effects of loneliness, being drawn comparisons to the same as smoking 15 cigarettes a day physically. So various studies, I'll touch on that. And then, mental health. We're going to talk about the fact that people do have suicidal thoughts. 1 in 5 of us will have that. We shouldn't be scared to talk about that. We should be prepared to, get it out there. And at the point you have or know someone who's struggling, is to kind of lean in or say, I need help. So I'll just dabble there. And then as a round off on Friday, I'm going to recap on something I've done myself, which is to go to the GP and ask about the NHS health checks you can do. Once you turn 40. You should get a call up, but if you don't get a call up, you can ask, and they'll just do a couple of checks and help you get to grips with what your numbers are. And then from there, you can kind of plot some actions, easy to do. And I will touch on the 5 ways of well-being on Friday as well. And then there's a little bit of wrapping up where you can self-score on all the themes I'll touch on in the 5 videos this week, where maybe you can have a look at how am I doing against these various areas? What might I want to put some time and attention to? And, with that, hopefully make some positive health and well-being lifestyle changes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. You shared quite a lot there, and I think some of you guys on the calls may have seen some of Rachel Mound's slides that she shared sort of last week in the run up to this week. And one of the figures, it's quite scary actually, that 40% of men say that it would take them thoughts of suicide or self-harm for them to actually ask for help. So us trying to get these conversations going and like sort of normalizing the, asking for help, it's a big thing. I went on a little bit of a story for you guys. I went on a hearing taster course today, and I found that absolutely phenomenal. It was a great course. Anyone with the opportunity to go on it, I would say go on it. It reminded me of confident conversations that I did with someone around the fact that they'd gone through hearing loss. And one of the things that person had said to me in a conversation was, I didn't want to admit that I'd got a problem with my hearing, because they didn't want to say like, look, something doesn't work as it used to. So I think, Stephen, I'm just going to bring you in from like an EDN kind of perspective. When we think of people from an ethnic diverse background, do you see more of a struggle than just sort of like being male and struggling with that already? Does that make sense, sorry?
Yeah, I think and thank you as well, Naren, for the intro. I think from a ethnic minority background, I think there's so many different, I guess, both physical and mental factors that affect like those communities. I think a lot more prevalently than I think maybe like our white counterparts. And I think the statistics like prove that. And I think when you look at things like, we've mentioned heart disease and blood pressure recently, and this is stuff like, I think a lot of especially ethnic minorities on the call would like probably have a family member or friend who's like suffered from this, and like it's quite a big thing in those communities. And a lot of those things maybe are linked to like hereditary, but also sometimes like diet as well. So it's sort of doing the right levels of research to understand like how those things could be like tackled in that way. And I think on the mental side of things, in terms of like lifestyle and in terms of how even gender roles are set up as well, I think this is something that especially looking at like Men's Health Week, I think it's something that we are in a new age kind of generation where like maybe gender roles are like a
You've got to mute, Stephen.
yeah, myself. Oh, sorry, I think I touched my mouse by accident. Yeah, I was saying, with the change in roles, to be like sort of less traditional. I think that it's interesting to see how that's having an effect on ethnic minority males, in society at the moment, because they're going through a whole world of like change and a world of like not necessarily being the stereotypical like macho kind of man, as it was in maybe like previous decades. So it's actually interesting to maybe understand a lot more how that's affecting them, but then also still with the like physical maybe like impairments or physical like challenges they'll have like from the hereditary issues that we've kind of spoken about. So yeah, a lot of things that kind of that bubble into the pot, but I think yeah, a lot to kind of touch on, and it'd be really good to hear Amrita's like views and kind of expertise on the different subjects, especially affecting the ethnic minorities.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. And I think that puts a good segue into bringing Amrita in. So let's get Amrita to introduce yourself, Amrita, and tell us a little bit about what you do and like the sort of holistic side of things, because there's a big focus this year around Men's Health Week and a holistic approach.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nora, for the introduction there. Hello, everyone. My name is Amrita. So I have a practice both online and in person, whereby I work as a holistic educator and therapist. I have a background of working as a school teacher, but I found during my work, as much as I loved it for the last 16 years, I found that what I was teaching the children and the young people weren't really necessarily the skills that they needed. I needed to take more of a focus on their mental health and well-being, because I passionately believe that if that's not in place, if you're not feeling whole and in connection with yourself as a young person, adult, all the way through your life, you're not going to be able to access what you need to. You're not going to be able to access education. So although I am still teaching in schools, alongside that I have what I like to call my holistic wellness practice, whereby I'm still an educator, but I use the modalities in which I'm trained in, yoga, mindfulness, breath work is a huge list, which I'm quite proud of, things that I'm passionate about and through my own life experiences have used in my own toolkit to sort of help me navigate through the adversities and challenges that we all face through life. And I think that bringing that to the surface and sort of talking, and life is not perfect for any one of us, we all have our challenges and our setbacks, and really bringing that to the forefront and creating a safe space is what I sort of teach in schools and my corporate delivery, is just to have that safe space, whether it be a one-to-one contact or a community a feel in your workplace where people feel that they can share and that it's okay. There's not a stigma attached to not being okay all of the time and not having all your marbles, all the ducks in your row. I think that's a saying, isn't it? And just releasing that, I think that can often just act as it's okay. I'm not okay, but I can reach out for help. So yes, I sort of teach breath work, mindfulness. Mindfulness encompasses everything that I do. It has personally and both professionally for me as well. And I passionately believe that there is absolutely a movement happening at the moment whereby corporates are realizing the benefits of incorporating mindful breaks and rest, etc., into their workplace. But I do think there's a lot more that can be done, and we're getting there, I think, slowly but surely. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Thank you, Amrita.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amrita. And I think just even like touching on your initial kind of introduction, with like that holistic approach to wellness, I think that you like kind of focus on quite well. Can you maybe give people a bit more of like an insight or deep dive into like how that's come about, and a bit more like I guess like context and specifics regarding that?
Of course. So, the meaning of holistic is when my client will come to my practice or a group of corporates will approach me, I look at them and think, right, what can I do to serve this being as a whole? So mentally, physically, emotionally. Okay, that's what we need to cater for. So that goes. I have 6 pillars. I'm not sure if you've been on my website. So mindfulness. It roots everything that I do. Is mindfulness, gazing inwards. I think unless we know ourselves, unless we know what that homeostasis is, so the homeostasis being what's normal for me, when is it do I feel good and happy and at peace with myself, if we all are carrying on doing all of the time, which we are. The life, we can't change our life, but we can change how we approach our life, how we manage the stress, because that's not going to go away, unfortunately. We are going to have all the things to do. We have our commitments, family, life, homework. That's not going to end. But if we prioritize knowing ourselves and recognizing when stress is overcoming us, for me, I feel anxious, I might get overly emotional. That's because I know myself, and I know that's far away. I'm diverging now from my state of homeostasis. So what do I need to do? And what I do is I teach the tools and the skill set specific to that person or group in front of me to empower them, because it is empowering to know, right, okay, so I'm feeling not myself. This is not me. What can I do in my toolkit? What can I access? Is it a moment? Is it a walk in nature? For me personally, it's a walk in nature. It's taking a moment to breathe and do some active conscious breath work, which is something that I also teach. And it's quite simple, yet it's very profound in the transformation of feeling more like yourself again. However, so many people are so disconnected from that because life is so busy, and we are human beings, not human doings. And I'm sure many of you have heard that phrase before. We do need to just take a moment to step back and step inwards, and that's often scary, which is why many people do avoid doing that, because they know that they're going to be faced with so much, the shadows, whatever you refer to, that you need to step into it, and that's what I help my clients to sort of navigate. So mindfulness is a huge part of what I do. And you've got the emotional intelligence when it comes to corporates, especially, and businesses. Have you got that culture of, I care for you as a human being. You are absolutely a member of our workforce, but before that, you're a human being. Am I looking out for you? Am I taking that step? Yes, I am your manager or a line manager, but am I taking that step back as a human being first to connect with you? Am I talking to you on a level where you feel comfortable coming to me and knocking at my door? My door is open. Even better, it's always open for you to approach me. So the emotional intelligence part of it is huge, and that works both ways. And I think I really am passionate about creating communities and cultures whereby everyone feels welcome, everyone feels that they can come in as themselves. And many of us are good at it in workplaces. I'm not saying that we're not, but we often get a vibe for if somebody walks in and they're not quite themselves. Many of us will approach that colleague and say, hey, are you okay? What can I do? Do you need to go for a walk? Just to really promote that more in a corporate environment, I think is really important to sort of, again, release that pressure from work colleagues. You don't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to be high functioning all the time and get everything done, because if you keep on doing that from a nervous system point of view, you are always on. Okay, you're always on high alert, and that then, from a long-term point of view, will then only lead to disease and burnout. And I'm sure I've absolutely experienced that in my life. I can't sit here and say I haven't. About 10 years ago, which is when I delve deeper into what I do. So again, it's about being connected to ourselves and others as a community. And then just to quickly go, I've got breath and awareness, which is what I teach from a sort of physiological point of view. So breath, I'm sure many of you, it's all over the internet at the moment, breath work and somatic movement. So when I say somatic movement, anything somatic is inviting us, excuse me, to gaze inwards, okay? However, the key is without that judgment, okay? So we are constantly judging ourselves. I'm not good enough. Am I going to be okay? Can I do that? Can I deliver that meeting to that standard? I think, again, to release that pressure, somatic awareness and practice such as tapping, breath work, mindful movement, it helps us to disconnect from that judgment, okay? It invites us to be as we are in this present moment. And that's often really tricky for my clients to do, because again, they're on that consistent high level stress all of the time, which then from a corporate point of view, you're going to have a cohort of colleagues who are burnt out. Output's going to go down, your targets aren't going to be met because your colleagues aren't feeling their best whole self. And again, going back to that homeostatic, calm, productive state, if you like. And then finally, I've got I've already said kindness and compassion and intuitive mindful movement. So are you encouraging your colleagues to take active breaks from, it's all very well to say take a break, but what are you doing with that break? Could you be going for a walk in nature? Eco psychotherapy will tell you that the benefits of immersing yourself in nature, whether it be for a 5 to 6 minute walk. I think many of you are in Birmingham, around the canals or out and about, just getting that change of scenery and breathing, bringing yourself back to the present moment, back to who I am. And then you can return to your workplace all renewed and ready to go again. So I do a lot of work like that as well. Sorry, I went on a bit then.
No, I
No,
mean,
it's fine.
it is the holistic approach. So you very much gave us the full picture. So thank you.
If I could just dive in then a little bit. So, we are talking about men, and they're not always the easiest iceberg to melt. How do you guide men then that you've supported then to kind of achieve a more balanced well-being? You can just kind of give us a little insight.
Of course. So first of all, and it is heartbreaking because honestly, 9 times out of 10, a male client or a group will come to me, and the stigma that is attached, it has been such a big step for them to even come through the door or get in touch with me online. So I think the work that you guys are doing to shatter that is incredible, because it is really, really needed, because we have come a little bit of a far way, but the thing is, it starts from childhood. So when a girl or a girl falls over, we're very quick to, oh goodness, are you okay? Let me have a look at that, sweetheart. Whereas if a boy tends to fall down, we kind of, come on, you're all right. Generally speaking, we're still not quite there. I've got 3 boys myself, and the way I've raised them is the fact that if you're hurt and you're feeling emotional, you're feeling upset, it's okay. Come to me. We've got this safe space here. You can come into there. So going back to what you said, it is all about creating that safety, that sense of it's okay. You're not the only person to feel like this, and you don't have to high perform all of the time. So it really is creating that sense of it's okay for your male counterparts, to create that for them. Yeah.
I can go again. I got questions all day long, me, but I'm going to give Stephen a chance to kind of dive in as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask about, I guess, with specific to your male clients, I guess some of the main challenges, maybe 2 or 3 that they sort of generally kind of come to you with. Just thinking with Mental Health Week, and just thinking what are some of the key themes that you think are currently going on in the male society. So I guess from your perspective.
So it's mainly the stigma attached, and secondly, it is overwhelm, and we tend to that phase overwhelming. I'm a mum of 3 and I'm a woman, and I think that phrase overwhelm is often really attached to women more than it is to men, because we expect men, generally speaking, to have it all together, to provide, to be okay all of the time, to be the alpha. And actually, I think and I often say to my husband, I say, look, what have you done for yourself today? I have to remind him, just one thing. If they can just have that one thing at the end of the day, they've asked themselves, what have I done which is completely for myself? And that could have been sitting, having a mindful cup of coffee in the morning just by themselves. It could be going for that walk at break. It could be going for that massage. It roots and it starts with the self-care and the self-awareness. So I often say to my clients, let's start right from the beginning of the day. How are you starting your day? 9 times out of 10, they'll say to me, I'm up, the alarm's on, and it'll be a buzzing alarm, and I'm up and I'm out and I'm ready for the day. Whereas I say to them, right, let's take a step back. What I'd like you to do, first things I ask them to do is change their alarm. So everyone's alarm should be a nice, calm alarm that comes on in the morning, nothing that alerts you, because if you have that, your nervous system is on high alert from the minute you wake up, and then that's going to roller coaster into your whole day. It's going to snowball, the snowball effect. You'll arrive at work in a frenzy. First of all, you'll drive to work in a frenzy. You'll arrive at work in a frenzy. So if we just take that time at the beginning of the day to slow down, to sit at the side of your bed, to take a few breaths, you will be absolutely shocked as to how much this tiny little habit can have such a profound positive impact, not only on your morning, but the rest of your day. So it's routines, and so that's what I'll teach them, the routines and strategies to sort of manage better the time that they have. Okay, are you leaving enough time before you leave the house? Are you actually taking time to eat mindfully? Are you fully there when you're having many of us, and I know lots of office corporates I work with, they're having their lunch at the desk, and that's not okay. Lunch should be a time when you are away from your desk completely. You're logging off mentally and physically from that computer, and you are refreshing yourself. That is what a lunch break is intended to do. So yeah, it really does root into our systems and our routines we have in place for ourselves. And that goes back to knowing ourselves. When is it that I feel an increased amount of stress and anxiety? What happens to me, and what do I need to do to reset myself? And not waiting until you're at burnout, but actually knowing through the day, oh, okay, I think I need to take a moment, take a few breaths, go for a walk, and disconnect from what's going on around me. And that needs to be accepted culturally in the workplace.
Could I just come back? I know you mentioned somatic therapy at points. Now, because I had done a couple of conversations, one on an individual basis and then as a group around PTSD. Why do you think it works so well at addressing PTSD?
Sure. Okay, so for many, many years, it was thought that PTSD was just a discomfort in the mind, disease of the mind, that you just have the memory, and if we work on that through cognitive behavioral therapy or talk therapies, then it will ease, or even better, go away. We've now learned through many, many years of scientific research that actually it's the body that holds the trauma. It is on a physiological level that we are traumatized if we see an event. Now, there's big T traumas and there's little T traumas. So the work of the incredible Dr. Gabor Mate, if anyone has read or seen any of his podcasts, please do, because he's incredible. He's done a lifetime's worth of work on this. So the body keeps a score. When we go through a little T trauma, for example, it could be something like back at school when you answer a question in the maths room and the whole class laughs at you for getting that wrong. Somewhere in your body, you are storing that memory. It's not just in your mind. You will have stored it somewhere. Going to a big T trauma, God forbid you've been in a car accident or witnessed a horrific accident, your body will have stored that somewhere in its body. And so somatic therapy, so the ones that I offer are mindfulness and breathwork and EFT, emotional freedom technique. They work on a physiological level to help to ease that trauma from the body. And we can also do things like, exercising and going for walks, swimming. All of these things do help. But if you're looking at more focused somatic therapy, then that will then ease the discomfort, not just from your mind, but also from your being as well. So yeah, it's all up and coming and new research, but it does make sense that you cannot just talk your way through it. You have to holistically address all areas of it on all levels. Thank you.
I think you're mute, Stephen, if you were coming in there.
No, we can go back to you, Michael. I know you've got a few more.
Well, I have kind of been on a bit of a sugar purge of my own in recent times. I did in my wellness check, did have sort of glucose, levels that, higher than it should have been. And, I have to say I've kind of always been active, but, it was definitely a little bit of a wake up call around dietary choice. And, that, I've lost more weight in recent times from changing my eating habits more than running marathons or half marathons. You can't outrun a bad diet. I wouldn't say it was bad, but there was definitely too much sugar in. But since changed that out, it's worked wonders. But I have to say I do advocate yoga. I think it is really good. I think COVID probably took a lot of people there, in terms of exploring other things. And I have to say, yoga with Adrienne, with so much free content on YouTube, I'll learn a few moves. Have been off it for a week or two, but what is it about yoga then? Because I know you mentioned right at the start it's something you do. Why is yoga so good? I know, but tell everybody else.
Absolutely. So I think the biggest misconception, guys, when it comes to yoga is people come, when they come to my classes, a lot of women in particular will not come because they think it's about creating that shape perfectly or doing what I'm doing perfectly. And that's absolutely not. Absolutely. Asana, which is body, the poses, the posture side of it, is actually a part of yoga, but it's absolutely not all of it. yoga invites us to create it's a form of self-care. Okay, so through regular practice, through sitting on your mat, you're developing a sense of discipline. I've got 3 boys, all 3 of them from age 15 to 8. They know that when they're on their mat in the morning, whether it be 3 minutes or 5 minutes, that's their routine of self-care. They're unrolling that mat to say that I'm showing up for myself, okay? And through doing that regularly, you're then showing the commitment to yourself that I matter and my well-being matters. Through the practice of yoga, you know, from the philosophy of yoga, it's based on kindness, unity, love, respect. That can filter into every area of our life. It's not just about what goes on your mat, the shapes that you create. Again, I talked about introspection before, the gazing inwards. Who am I? Okay, yoga, the practice of the breath work and the connection, so not just asanas, it's about breath work too. It invites us to get to know ourselves. You know, what sort of person do I wish to be? What values do I wish to live by? And it is my life as a whole. Are my actions then aligned with those values? Okay, so if I'm going to say that I wish to be kind and helpful and loving, are my actions in my daily life kind, helpful, and loving? It kind of gives us a roadmap, if you like, or a manual as to how we wish to live our life. Okay, and then because you're more mindful of your actions and thoughts and your life in general, it can actually lead to fulfillment, because when you've actioned that, when you are thinking, actually, yes, maybe I shouldn't be doing that because that's not in line, but then you change it to be in alignment, then you have a sense of fulfillment. Okay, so you've now created this being that you wish to be just from taking that time to ask yourself. And that's what I teach. My joy is teaching children and young people that, because the silliest question you can ask a child is, what do you want to be when you grow older? And I absolutely loathe that question, because actually you're already an amazing human being. Okay, so that's what we should strive to be, not an air pilot. You absolutely have ambitions and dreams, but what sort of person do you wish to be? Okay, so are you in alignment? Is everything you're doing in alignment with that, with your values? So yeah, yoga, it is incredible. Yoga has saved me in my life for sure. You know, I've been practicing since the age of 17, and it's you can't really describe it. You have to practice yoga, Michael, I'm sure you'll agree, to know how beautiful and how beneficial it is for you as a whole. It really is. Yeah, I hope I answered that.
Yeah. And you know, from a male perspective, because I know you know there's a kind of a gender kind of biased view that it's, you know, only women do yoga, but actually, you know, it's really beneficial, and it's physically challenging. You know, so you can make it as difficult as you like. So you can have as much of a workout in yoga as you can at the gym, for sure.
100%, yeah. But it's more the most important part is the workout that you're getting up there, for sure, and here. That's
Yeah.
what I teach my students, 100%. So if you focus on those areas, the asana will just come with itself. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Oh, good. I was going to ask, actually, just on the topic of yoga, but I guess different kind of techniques to like practicing mindfulness. Like, would you be able to actually like help us demonstrate like any kind of techniques that like men and different colleagues in general could use to like start reducing like a bit more of their stress on a daily basis and trying to enhance their overall well-being? So
absolutely.
Happy to do a live demonstration, like if you want if you want to show us, and people on the call can
sure. No, we will. I will move on to a guided meditation, if that's okay for you guys, in just a moment. But before I do, I did have a little brainstorm of what you could sort of incorporate into a corporate setting. So I've already mentioned compassionate leadership, mindful meetings. So at the beginning of a meeting, if you're in a boardroom, it should be normal for everyone the lead to say, right, guys, let's just ground ourselves. We're here. Take a few breaths. And that then also creates a sense of community before the meeting goes, and also helps everyone to reset, because you don't know where they've come in from. Have they just come in from a series of meetings for their day? Is their workload ever increasing? So just to bring everyone again back to that homeostasis, back to that calm, really effective tool that a colleague of mine incorporated and really successfully actually is just taking a breath, something as simple as that, a few breaths, and inviting everyone to do the same. Quiet areas and rooms, do you guys have areas for your colleagues to go to take that moment actively away from everywhere? What else have I put here? And really promoting, and I've put here promoting and modelling, because it's all very well, especially I see this a lot in schools, when you walk into schools and they've got the lovely values there of respect and kindness, but then the adults aren't modelling that to the children. They're losing their temper and they're shouting and they're not modelling that. So are you guys actively promoting a culture of kindness and respect? And as I think we started off with this. So yeah, I think after that we can absolutely go into a guided meditation. Okay, I'm going to just switch my camera off if that's okay, just for a moment, so I can get the music on for you guys. So I'm going to invite everyone just to take a seat, or lie down if that's available to you. And if it feels comfortable to do so, if you feel comfortable to do so, just closing your eyes. I'm going to invite you just to bring awareness into the present moment for yourself, okay? With compassion and kindness. You may wish to put your hands over your heart. I'm going to talk you through a full breath. Now, we all think we breathe properly, but the only people really in this world that do are those who've been trained, and also babies. So if you've ever seen a baby breathe, if you're lying on the bed, his or her tummy will expand and contract. It will expand and contract. And if you just bring your awareness to your breathing right now, I can probably guarantee that only 6 or 7 of you are really expanding as you inhale and contracting your belly button back to your spine as you exhale. I'm going to ask you to repeat that again. As you inhale, it's called balloon breathing. And as you exhale, contracting your belly back to your spine. And then I'd like to invite you to just roll your head side to side, however it might feel appropriate for you. And just bringing your awareness back. What's good for you? How does it feel? Am I tight in my shoulders today? Do I feel a tingling sensation? Maybe bringing your chin down to your chest as you exhale. And then as you inhale, coming back to center. Continuing to deep, breathing in through your nose, holding it maybe just for a moment. And then slowly exhaling through your mouth. Beginning with your feet. And you feel any sensations, and just noticing your feet or your shoes in contact with the floor. Do they feel warm? Do they feel cold? And gradually inviting you to move your awareness up your legs, to your knees, and then to your thighs. As you feel the weight of your body being supported by the chair or the surface that you are sat on. Then we'll move our attention to our lower back and your abdomen. As you notice the rise and the fall of your breath. Noticing your chest as it expands and contracts. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat. If it feels right, moving your shoulders. Are they relaxed? Are they tense? Just remembering that each breath that you take is an opportunity to connect with yourself right now. And just inviting that compassionate call. What do I need right now? I'm just going to invite you to slowly begin to move your feet, move your body. And when it feels right to do so, just coming back to the present moment and slowly opening your eyes. Hopefully you'll feel nice and refreshed when you're back.
That felt really good.
It's so simple yet so profound. And if you can, it's called a mindful break or a pause break, whatever you want to call it. You can name it something that's appropriate for you. But add it on. I think the secret is to add it onto something that you already do. We all know that habits are hard to develop, but if you add it onto something you already do. So for example, we all wake up in the morning, by God's grace, we wake up in the morning, take that breath then, okay? You all clean our teeth. Maybe you'll do some breath work then. You all, the favorite one that I teach is when we all leave the front door at some point in the morning or the afternoon, every time you turn the key, either inside or out, just reset, take that breath, check in with yourself. Am I okay? Do I need a few more minutes? Again, it is so simple yet so profound, and you will notice the difference in your well-being for sure.
No, thank you, Amrita. I think I even find myself like trying to do that at different points during the day. Let's say I've been staring at my phone for too long or my laptop for too long. But I think doing that in that like kind of step by step way and giving myself those few minutes like is like very beneficial. You, I think Michael, did you have any more questions up your sleeve?
I think I was thinking, that we have a wider audience, and we better not monopolize all the questions.
Yes.
Should we open it up for anybody else, either in the chat or on audio, to just fire in?
And while we wait for people to sort of come in with questions, I just thought, like, there are some females on this call as well, and we want to be allies to our male counterparts. What are your sort of thoughts around how we can help, like, our brothers, husbands, sons? What would you say we can do more of to help?
Absolutely. And I know I've done this with Danny, my husband, a lot of the time because of the pressure to and it is we're our own worst enemy sometimes. We pile that pressure on ourselves because nobody is telling us to do all of these things, but we feel that we need to provide. So I just say to him, I said, what have you done? Have you done something for yourself today? Having that conversation, creating that safe space, having a regular, it sounds silly, but I'm sure those of us in marriages and relationships, life has to be scheduled, scheduling that time to catch up with each other. Again, creating that safe space. Now, if we look from a sort of ethnic minority background and ethnic diversity, Steve, with your cap on, there was so much stigma attached to any male members of the community admitting that they need to talk. Feelings should be suppressed, and men should be able to get on with it. Going back to India and in our own families' history, I've heard phrases like, "Oh, your granddad used to work on a field all the day, and he never had anything wrong with him."
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It needs to stop. And again, a lot of the work that I do with children and young people is all about that. Is just saying it's absolutely okay for you to say that you're not okay and you need help, and I'm here for you. If I can't help you, then let's find somewhere or something that can. So absolutely, I think really speaking, okay, we all learned post-COVID that connection is essential. We as human beings, we absolutely need that connection, whether it be with other people, the environment, nature. It is really roots back to connection. If we can connect, if we can hold out that baton, as it were, to our colleagues, our husbands, our brothers, and say, hey, I've got you, it's okay. I think immediately I've heard clients report back to me that it feels like the weight is lifted from their shoulders, quite literally. And I think it really is just inviting them to say and creating that space for them to feel that it's okay to do that.
Thank you.
Do we have any?
I think we do. We have a question here, I think.
Oh, yes, we are from John Edwards. Yes, okay. So, quick question from Rita, if possible. I've heard that writing things down to create headspace and clarity of our thoughts can be really beneficial as a daily practice. I just wanted to get your perspective on this.
Oh, 100%. Yes. And it's not just writing, just to have a journal. So a lot of people excuse me, will have a journal just to note down all the negatives. I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and she said she's been through a very tricky time herself, and she said, oh, I just write it all down, all the negatives. And I said, well, do you actually write the positives as well? Absolutely, yes. So have a journal. I have a gratitude journal, and I have a journal in which I write my thoughts and feelings. And the simple act of just taking a few moments, doesn't have to be perfect, it's, you know, something nice that you'll want to go to every day. It's a ritual, it's an act of self-care to come down, or at night time to come down and just write your thoughts down. It can be profoundly transformative in your well-being, because it offers an outlet. Okay, so rather than keeping it all in your head, your heart, your mind, which then leads to chronic stress if you are keeping it in all of the time and not talking about it, having a journal there can actually be that safe space for you. And a lot of clients of mine will often bring their journal as it's almost like a safety barrier. It's sort of, I've released it in here. Could you then read it and tell me how you can help me with this? So it's like a bridge. For many men, I have more in particular than women, it will act as a bridge for them to sort of release and heal, really, because it's the beginning of the healing. And again, it also it also enables you to have more awareness, because sometimes when you write things down, it helps you to sort of process things a little bit better and make sense of what's really often, more than often, not always, overthinking in our minds. And yeah.
Can I just add to that? Because I was reflecting on various things I've been involved with where, you know, thinking skills were kind of a key area of self-investment. But, you know, because the pursuit of more, you know, and the pressure of more, you know, you can never get to the end of that road, you know, whereas if you can kind of get to a point of understanding, do I have enough?
Yes.
You can get contentment. And I think if you can kind of list and frame the focus around the things that you do have, rather than things you don't have, actually, you know, you can turn it on its head, because you can get so caught up in the negatives of what you don't have and what you need, that actually you neglect what you already do have. And most of us have lots to be happy in life about. You know, we're here, you know, we will have had breakfast, you know, we will have got paid for today, you know. There are so many things we've got that other people don't have.
Absolutely, Michael. You're completely right then. I'm sure you've all heard of the negativity bias. As human beings, because of our ancestors, we do tend to focus on the negative and what's going wrong. But actually, as you rightly said, there is so much that's going right for us. You know, look around you, the sun's, well, hopefully the sun's shining. It is here in Surrey anyway. You know, just taking a minute. You've had, like you said, you've had a warm cup of tea in the morning. You've got running water. You know, you have, hopefully you have family and friends. You have somebody that you can connect with on a level. So there is always something passionately to be thankful for. You may have to look a little bit harder because your thoughts might be clouding that, but absolutely yes, to have a daily, and it doesn't have to be a gratitude. I mean, I'm Post-it queen. It could be Post-its, it could be little notelets, what have you, but just to write down and take a minute in your day to ask yourself, right, what's gone right for me today? You know, what's actually gone right? What have I done well today? Or how has somebody shown their kind? There's always something that you can find for sure. And it really does uplift you. It really does, because it takes the focus away from, as you rightly said, what's going wrong, which we could write books on that, couldn't we, really?
Definitely. I think John has put a couple of more things in the chat. He said it also helps us to prioritize when we have an overwhelming to-do list.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And then he's also said, I personally do a should do, could do, and must do list. And it's a great relief at the end of the day, provides a sense of achievement.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well done, John. Is it John? Did you say? Yeah, well done, John.
Yeah,
Prioritizing, because it releases the pressure. We cannot do everything all of the time perfectly. You know, I do every Sunday. We sit down as a family, say, well, what needs to be done? What could we do maybe next week? It's management, isn't it? And you guys, you know, we all do that in all areas of our life, and it's very effective. Yeah, it releases the pressure.
I like that division of must do, should do, and could do. I think I'm going to start incorporating that into my priority list, because, you know, sometimes when you write a list, you're thinking, okay, what can I prioritize? And you're like, everything's a priority. Actually, no, like let's.
Absolutely, and then you end up doing nothing because you've got so much to do.
Honestly, I see a hand up from, is that Paul Quinton? Yeah, Paul,
yes,
feel free to come off mute.
Hi, Paul.
Hello, hi
Hello.
Amrita. Hi.
Hello there.
Just a bit of advice, I suppose. So I've historically used running as an outlet for like mental stillness, but the few times when I've been injured, I then feel my mental health really deteriorating quickly, but there isn't anything that I've got that substitutes it. You spoke about the yoga earlier, and I've tried it before, but I can't find like a routine that I can stick with or that gives me the same kind of buzz. Is there anything you'd recommend, or any like a YouTube, someone I can follow, or something that, in the instances where I can't use running as my outlet, that I can use yoga? Because I'd love to do more yoga. I just can't stick with it and get the motivation to do it, I guess, if I'm totally honest.
Okay, so Travis Elliott is absolutely incredible. Can I ask, actually, firstly, Paul, what sort of yoga have you practiced? Do you know?
So funny enough, I've got a book for yoga for runners, actually, as it goes.
Okay, right.
But I find it really hard to do it from a book. So you look at a few pictures, it's like, am I doing what it says in the book? So, and that's, to be fair, that's all I have tried, just from a book.
Sure. Okay. No. So Travis Elliott is fantastic on YouTube. He has a membership as well, and I actually follow him myself. So he also has short snippets. He works on breath work and a lot of mind help as well. I'll also, if there is a platform for me to post links after, I do have a few to post on. So Nurin, if that's okay with you, I could absolutely share those.
Yeah,
but he's
brilliant.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Travis Elliott is brilliant. And when you're, again, going back to when you are injured, I have a client who very similar to you, actually. She does frequently injure herself and dip slightly, but maybe going from a compassionate approach and saying, right, okay, I'm injured. I've accepted that this is happening to me right now. What other things could I do? Maybe I could do breath work. Breath work is fantastic. Okay, it really is transformational. What could I do? Maybe I could go, I don't know if you could go for a walk instead of a run, but just to get out. So just having that compassion, I think, is really important, because again, we put so much. I think, I'm not sporty myself, but I think as sports people, we can often put pressure on ourselves because we're not getting to the level.
I'm not sporty. I just like running.
So yeah,
but yeah.
Just remember to have that.
You do more than me, Paul.
Thank you, and it's been a really good session today as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. And I see Mike, who has also put another couple of suggestions in there. For yourself, for everyone as well. So thank you very much for that as well, Mike. Any other hands up or questions in the audience, or anyone want to pop anything in the chat?
While we wait for people to put their hands up or think of any more questions, when we think about, because obviously we're an engineering workforce, so some of our workforce are out on the field, but then we've also got desk-based people who sort of meet in meetings and do Teams meetings. What would you say are like the top tips for both of those individuals, so field and desk?
In terms of top tips for,
or like well-being, and how to sort of take time out to make it work for someone in the field, and then to make it work for someone at desk.
Sure. So at the desk, I'll start with, because I've just done this huge drive at work through schools with the leaders at the top. You're sitting at desk for most of the day. Okay, so just incorporating that, the moment to have a little mindful. I do have a desk series, actually, which I will put the link to you, so you don't have to, if you cannot leave your desk, there are things that you can do at your desk. Ideally, you would leave your desk for that walk, or to go to the yoga room and do some stretches and some tapping into what your body needs. And I think that's really important for you to understand that there shouldn't be a set routine that everyone follows. It really is about you asking yourself, right, what do I need right now? Are my shoulders feeling tight? Maybe I need to do some upper body work. Are my legs feeling stressed because I've been outside for a long time? Do I need to just sit down? And sometimes you do need to just sit in a different space just to reset and log off from the environment that you're in. So yeah, absolutely. So regular, as I said to you, nature breaks are my favourite to say to corporates, because you guys are in offices, you are as beautiful as they might be inside. It's not nature. Okay, so you will absolutely find the benefits of going out for a walk, connecting and immersing yourself in greenery. It sounds very hippie bo, I know, but it works. It really, really does work, just to be there and noticing. So from a mindfulness perspective, when you're out and about, 5 things that you can smell, taste, see, feel, it just immediately, as I'm saying it, even it just brings you back to again that homeostatic state, that me. Okay, what is me? One thing I would like everyone to take away from this call, if nothing else, is find your me. Find what's right for you. When is it that you feel good? When is it that you feel fulfilled? When is it that you feel ready for your day and okay and energetic and you and anchor yourself with that. Okay, so always aim to get back from that. The more work you do on that, the more work you do on connecting yourself with that, the better you'll be at realizing when you've diverged from that. Then you'll be able to bring yourself back, hopefully with the tools and skills that you have, whether it be breath work, yoga, going for a walk, having that mindful tea in the staff room or what have you. So that's one thing I really would love everyone to just do. What is it that what do I feel, and what happens physiologically, mentally, emotionally when I'm great, when I'm feeling good.
Perfect. Thank you, Amrita. And like for our engineers, if they're going from sort of a job to another job, what would you say like while they're driving?
Yeah, so would they be driving from site to site, I'm assuming? So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe put some mindful music on in your journey, or music that you enjoy, something to reset, something to lift yourself during that journey. What else could we say? You have a healthy snack. Obviously, it's all about food, as Michael said rightfully earlier on. Diet plays a huge part in our well-being. I think we're really lucky that there is so much, probably too much out there now, telling us what to do, what not to eat. Again, find what works for you. Okay, maybe you'll have a bowl of fruit or a yogurt or something in your car. Nourish yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. We should all be nourishing ourselves and nurturing ourselves, because we should care for ourselves, and it's important, because if we care for ourselves, then we can be our best selves for our corporates, for our families, and it's not just all about work, it's about the people that we want to be, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Amazing. Final call, I guess, for people on the chat. If there's anyone who wants to come off mute, ask a question, or unless Michael or Nuran have any more questions yourselves.
I guess a tip like from me, I find if you don't have to look at a screen while you're on a call, take that call outside. If you've got a one-to-one with someone in your team and you're on the same site, if you don't need to take notes, go out and take a walk together and have that one-to-one. But those are a couple of things for me. How about yourselves, Michael or Stephen?
I think for me would be, to pick up on the breath work, I think we're all busy and we think, oh, where will I find the time for this, that, and the other? I think even in a busy engineering day where you're probably, grabbing your lunch at pace is, in 5 minutes, you can probably make yourself feel a whole lot better by just taking 5 minutes out, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more you'll want to do it, and the more you'll take longer. So even if you did 2 minutes of that kind of mindful breathing, I definitely think that it will just take a weight off in the course of the day.
Yeah, you literally take 2 minutes is better than no minutes, and that's with everything that we do. Anything is better than nothing, for sure.
I agree. I think just for myself, I think like main kind of takeaways, like with the list prioritizing thing, I'm definitely going to take away. But even from the taking like 2 to 5 minutes of like breathing to like set yourself up for that long stint of whatever you're going to do, I think it's realizing that a lot of things aren't life and death. So I think John just come off mute there. Yeah, a lot of things that aren't life and death. So I'm just going to mute John just so I can hear myself. Yeah. A lot of things aren't life and death. So actually, like you just taking those few minutes will actually help you to get that thing done. But a lot of the times when we like see a big list of stuff to do in front of us, you think, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Especially as I guess in the male community where like we often feel a lot of the weight on our shoulders. But I think sometimes if you you can't do all those things if you are not healthy and like strong yourself. So I think remembering that there's no like actions to be completed if like Stephen or Mike don't exist in the first place. So yeah, I think it's remembering that.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you. We have come to time, so I understand like people have got calls. So thank you so much, Amrita, for coming along. Thank you,
Thank you,
Stephen. Thank you, Michael, for joining me, and thank you to everyone who's come onto the session and watched and taken part in the breathing and also listened to everything that Amrita's so wonderfully gone through. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheerio.
Lovely to meet you all. Bye now.